My name's Craig. Today we're going to be going over the safe operations of how to run a tack truck. We are going to first walk around the truck, do our pre-trip, make sure we've got our oil and our coolant at the levels they need to be at. From that point, we'll continue to go into the cab, start the truck up, and engage the PTO. And then once I fire the truck up, there's a PTO normally located on the right side down by the lower seat. To engage your PTO, you must first push the clutch in and pull up on the PTO. At that point, release the clutch and listen. Normally a PTO makes a distinctive sound. Sometimes they do get stuck and they don't engage, so make sure it's fully engaged. At that point, when you know your PTO is fully engaged, there's a master power switch on usually the top right corner of the computer. Flip that power switch on.
Now you'll take a break. And then
at that point, you want to come back to the rear controls, flip your master power switch on. From there, you should hear your pump. And at that point, since you just fired the truck up, it should be in suck back from the night before. And you should hear your pump. It should sound clean. There should be no real clutter or distinctive sound. The sound should sound clear. Once you have gotten to that point, there's a suction valve on your rear controls. This valve is very important. It's what puts the material from the tank into the pump. Once you've got your pump turning, flip your switch up to open, and that actually opens the valve in the rear, which will allow the material from the tank to be circulating in the pump. The propane tank is located on the left side of this vehicle. There's usually normally a few different valves, but you only have to worry about the one. It's the on and off valve, which allows the propane to go from the hose to the back burners. Once you've got material circulating through your pump, the next step is to heat your material in the tank. We want to first make sure we've got material in the tank that's covering the flues completely. You want at least 6 inches of coverage on your flues. To check that thoroughly, you want to climb the ladder, open the lid, and look down and make sure you do not see any of your flue exposed. Once you get done with that, leave the lid cracked. That way any fumes can be vented. Climb down the ladder. This is where your flues are vented. Put those in the downward position. That will help vent the burners. After those are open, you'll want to stand away from the burners. Always start the bottom burner first. You'll want to crack that, light it with a handheld torch. If you've got enough material to light the second burner, you'll want to crack that one next and stand away from the flame and light that second. Always make sure your fire extinguisher is in a close area. That way you can get to it if you have any problems. Always attend the tack truck while you're heating and circulating in your tank and your bar. Don't ever leave. Every truck is equipped with a thermometer. You want to watch the thermometer for the desired heat that you want. We're looking for about 130 degrees to 150 degrees, whether you're hand shooting or you're shooting through the bar. The thermostats or the thermometers can be delayed, so if you hit about 130 to 140 degrees, it will tend to creep up for the next 20 minutes or so. Once you hit your desired temperature, shut your propane tank off first. That way any propane in the line will be burnt out at the burners. Once that's taken place, shut the valves on the burners, close the lid, lock it, climb down the ladder, shut your flues, and at that point you should be ready to spray either in your bar or your hand wand. We're going to talk about how to operate the handheld wand. Your material is already circulating in your pump and your tank. At that point, on the rear pump control, flip the toggle switch down to rear. That way you've got complete control of your pressure going to your pump. That's usually, I kind of determine my pressure based on sound. You'll know how much pressure is going by that distinct sound that's going to the pump. Once you've done that, go to your three-way valve. Pull the three-way valve towards you. It's in suckback mode, and now once you pull it towards you, it puts material in the hose. If you have any questions or you're confused about that, most trucks have the stickers on the back that describe what position your valve needs to be in to put material in the hose, or to suck back the material in the hose. From that point, you're ready to hand shoot. Come over to the other side of the truck, grab your hand wand. I always put it in a safe position. Sometimes these wands get plugged when they're not properly sucked back. So don't start spraying next to concrete or next to something that might get tack on it. Put it in a safe area, a larger area that you're going to end up paving over, and turn it on and make sure you've got the desired pressure going to the wand that you want. Make sure you've got that nice even flow. From that point, you should be good to go on your hand wand. After completing hand spraying, you'll want to suck back the hose almost every time. If you think you're going to hand spray up the road a little bit, you can leave the material on the hose. I wouldn't recommend doing it on a cooler day. I always try to suck back my hand wand as much as I can. That way I know it's good to go for the next time. The first thing I want to do, I want to take my suction valve and close it. This will put us in suck back mode. From that point, I want to go to my three-way valve, and I'll want to center that with the hose. We should have complete suck back going to the hose right now. From that point, we want to open our valve on the hand wand and listen for suction. Once you hear the suction, you'll want to get a clean can of off-road diesel and put the tip of the hand wand in that diesel. As I'm sucking back diesel from a can or from your back end compartment, always twist your handle. That way the diesel takes away any residual in that handle, and it's free moving like this one is for the next time you need to use it. We're going to talk about the front control and putting the material in to the circulating in the bar mode. We've heated the material. We've got it circulating in the tank. We've got our suck back switch off. We'll want to turn our knob to the circulating bar mode. That's going to put material in our bar. We need that to circulate for at least 10-15 minutes depending on the temperature of your material. The hotter that bar is, the better it's going to spray. While you're up here, you'll want to flip your 1-foot sections on. The top toggle switches are all in the off mode right now. If you flip them up, they'll be in the on mode. This controls your main bar, which is 8 foot, and then we've got 3-foot wings. By flipping that toggle up, it'll turn on each foot of that wing. The toggle switches below that will raise and lower the wings. And as you're shooting, you can shift your bar from left to right with this toggle, and you can lift it up and down with this toggle. Our spray rates, we want to try to shoot between 0.08 and 0.1, which this truck's set on. We like to have our circulation rate between 5 and 8 gallons per minute per foot that you're spraying. So if you're spraying 8 foot, you want to be at least 40 gallons per minute to 50 gallons per minute. It's a good rule of thumb. As we move to the back of the truck, getting ready to spray with the bar, we've got 2 locks that keep the bar in the upward position when you're driving to the job. You'll want to unlock both of those locks. That will allow us to adjust the spray bar up and down and side to side. As far as your height, you want to be around a foot off the ground when spraying. That's going to help with a more consistent spray. There are some factors that come into that, your temperature of the material and the wind speed. So as you spray, adjust the height, but a foot is a good measurement to start off with. Before you spray, you'll want to make sure your nozzles are in a right angle. You want them at 30 degrees. Any 7/8 wrench will allow you to get the nozzles in the right position. Once you put it on, you should be able to hit the next nozzle, and then you'll know your nozzles are at the 30 degrees they need to be at for triple coverage. Once you finish spray and tack for the day, you'll want to suck back the bars and the pump. Right now, we're circulating bar on our knob. We'll want to take that over to load suck back. There's a toggle switch next to that turns your suck back on. From that point, we'll want to move to the back control panel of the truck. The back control, you'll want to take your suction valve from open to the closed position. You'll want to take your pump control from front to rear. That way you can control the pressure of the suck back in the pump. From then, I'll want to turn my diesel pump on. From that point, you'll want to go to your wash down flushing toggle, flip it in the on position. Most of them make that noise, that way it reminds you your wash down pump is on and you don't forget to leave it on and you shut it off at the end of the night. With that on, you'll want to go to the back of the truck. Every truck is equipped with the hose for spraying diesel. Lock your bars up. You'll hear your pump. You'll know your pump sucking back based on the noise. You'll run these trucks so much that there's that distinctive sound between having material in your pump and having it in the suck back mode. So right now it should sound cleaner. You'll want to go around to your corner nozzles and listen for the suck back noise, just like that right there. As that's sucking back, you'll want to spray a little bit of diesel in each one of your nozzles. After that's complete, come to your suction line, open that up. Notice I'm standing to the one side. Even though we know it's in suck back, you always want to stand to one side. If you stand in front of that and there's material in this line, you will be covered with material. At this point, we want to spray diesel down in here. We want to make sure this screen is somewhat clean. Always spray diesel in this line every night. That goes directly into your pump, and that's going to allow you to have an easy startup the next morning, knowing your pump's got diesel in it. After you're completed doing that, there's a valve on top going directly into the pump. Just center that with the line. That will also allow diesel to go down into the pump. After you've done that for about 3 to 5 minutes and you hear your pump, it's clean, it sounds clean, shut your diesel off, shut your wash down pump off, shut your master power switch, and you're ready to hit the road. We don't want to use too much diesel while we're washing down. We just want to listen for that distinctive sound of the pump. You want to make sure there's no material in there. You want to hear that clean, crisp sound. After you've completed washing down, shut your pump off, shut your system down. Don't be afraid to open the suction line and pour a little diesel in there. That'll allow for your pump to soak overnight, and that'll help your operation work smoother the next day. We're in a different model tack truck. We're going to show you some of the differences from the prior truck that we just explained. On this one, we do not have the knob that allows you to go from load suck back to circulating tank to circulating bar. That is all on the rear truck. So basically up here, we just want to engage the PTO, turn your master power switch on. So we moved to the rear of the truck, where the rear control panel is located. It's the same setup as our other trucks. We've got the master power switch on in the front cab. We'll want to flip the front pump control to the rear pump control. That way we can control the pressure from the back. Then we'll also want to open the suction valve, which will allow material from the tank to go into the pump. If we want to hand shoot our bar chute, we'll start back here. There's a lever here that is pushed in for the suck back. You'll want to pull that lever out to shut the suck back off. Once you've got your levers in the desired position and your tack is heated to the temperature that you're looking for, let that circulate in the tank for 10 to 15 minutes. That'll allow you to push this bar in the upward position, which takes the material from the pump and puts it into the bar. Let it circulate in the bar for 10 to 15 minutes. The hotter the bar is, the better you can utilize it. It'll spray better, it'll turn on, and from that point you'll unlock your bar, set your bar to a foot off the ground, and you're ready to spray. Today we're going to talk about a procedure of transferring the tack from one truck to the other. We'll be taking tack from this truck, transferring on to that truck. Right now we've got the hose hooked up. On this truck, the hose is hooked up to the transfer line. On the other truck, the hose is hooked up to the suction line. We've got material in our pump circulating on this truck. On that truck, we've got the suction, we've got the pump sucking back. We want our gallons per minute to be a little higher on the truck that's sucking the material. So we try to start off around 80 or 90 gallons per minute when transferring tack. So I've got the suction truck set up for about 90 gallons a minute, and we're gonna set this truck up for about 80 gallons a minute. After that's all complete, you'll open the transfer line valve to allow the material from the pump to be transferred into the hose to the other truck. Once I get that valve completely open, you'll hear material transferring into the suction pump. After I get to my desired gallons on this truck, you'll want to set your suction line so that the pump is no longer transferring material. At that point, you'll want to take this truck and close your suction valve on the control panel. That will allow this truck to have suction also. From that point, you'll want to hit your suction valve on the transfer line. So now we've got suction from this truck and that truck, taking whatever remainder material is in the hose and sucking it back. Once you think the material's out of the hose, lift it to see if there's any material in there. You'll know how light it is. Once that is complete, I always crack my hose and listen for suction. So go to both trucks, crack the hose, and listen for suction. Once you hear the suction and you know there's no more material on the hose, disconnect your hose from both trucks, shut your suction valve off, spray diesel in both the transfer line and the suction line. Make sure you don't overload your truck. Most of the trucks, we can get about 1,300 to 1,350 gallons. That'll hit your 30,000 GVW. We don't want to go over, so always make sure you're monitoring how much tack material you're taking from one truck to the other. If you're having problems shooting with your tack truck, always try to check to make sure your PTO is fully engaged. Make sure your suction valve is open. Always try to make sure your tips are clean. If you've got dirty clips or clogged tips, change them out, clean them. If you're having problems and you don't know where to go, call your foreman, call your superintendent, even call your general superintendent. There's enough people in the company that will know how to fix the problem. We're gonna go over the procedure of using the Crack Pro crack buggies. We checked the oil, we checked the coolant, they're both good to go. There's an override button on most of these. You wanna kick the override button in, fire the engine up. Once you've got the engine fired up, that'll engage the generator. You'll come back to the back control panel, turn your power switches on, first your master power, then your AC power. Your presets are already in there for your temperature and your hose temperature and your material temperature. Leave those alone. If you've got any questions on those, talk to your mechanic before adjusting any of those temperatures. Let it heat up for about 15 to 20 minutes. Once you've hit your temperature, your interlock button will engage. Once that button lights up, you can turn your agitator on forward and your pump on forward. At that point, your material should have heat, your agitator's going, your pump's going. Hit your button and make sure you've got material flowing through your hose. Once you see material flowing through your hose, we grab a piece of wire or something, put that in the lock position. That way you've got complete flow through your hose while you're heating it up. When you use the hose, always make sure you hang it in the correct position. There's a picture on most of these that shows the correct position to hang the hose. You never want to bend it, you never want to have a loop in it. That pinches those elements in that hose and stops it from heating. And when that happens, the whole job will be down. These crack buggies are very important for our production. These hoses range from about $2,500 to $3,000 with labor. It's just an expensive process, so we want to make sure the hoses are hung in the correct manner. Once you're done with the crack buggy, at the end of the night, you want to put the pump in reverse and the agitator in reverse. That will pull most of the material out of the pump and the hose, and it'll allow it to start the next day without an issue. It should create any problems. Just make sure you keep that in the reverse position for at least 10 to 15 minutes to make sure your material's back in the tank. It's not setting in your hose and it's not setting in your pump. And after you're finished doing that, like I said, 10 to 15 minutes in the reverse, shut your AC power off, shut your master power off, and you should be good to go for the next day. My name's Craig. We hope you enjoyed the video today. And remember, safety starts with you, so be safe out there.